Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Adventures in Advising podcast. My name is Ryan Shekel, co-host. Along with me is Matt Markin, as always. Matt, how are you today?
It's good. I mean, it's January. I guess we can still be saying it a Happy New Year, right?
Sure. Yeah. I saw something online where I'm sure someone probably posts something like this every year, but it was 2025 with the 5 overwritten into a 6. And it's like, we're going to be doing this for a while. We can do that verbally as well, or check in and be like, it's not another year yet. Is it another year? So yeah, I'm super excited for today's episode and our guests, especially sort of broadening that comfort zone and that organizational perspective, talking with some folks about NASPA and their events. And so I don't know if we want to bring our guests on now at this point. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
So with us here today are Charlie Sloop and Derrick Ball. We're going to get a chance to get to know them a little bit more. They're going to share with us as well some information about the NASPA Undergraduate Student Conference. But Charlie, if we could start with you, could you tell us a little bit about your journey in higher education? Sort of what's your origin story?
Absolutely. And thank you again for having us today on the Adventures in Advising podcast. I actually started diving into student affairs as I was an orientation leader my freshman summer year at Virginia Tech. This was kind of one of those moments where the mentor taps on your shoulder and it's like, hey, I think you would actually be really good at working in student affairs and colleges, because my goal ever since I had a 4-H background was to help people in some shape or fashion. And so it led me into this exploration of student affairs, going through res life, doing research. And one of my favorite positions was serving as a hazing prevention specialist in student engagement and campus life. So allowed me to work with student organizations, facilitate hazing prevention training, and it's led me to where I am now. So I'm currently a graduate student at Michigan State University in the Student Affairs Administration program. And I am a graduate assistant in registered student organizations. So instead of just my little group of student organizations, now I get to help out with 1,200 student organizations. So it's a huge jump. But yeah, that's a little bit about my story.
Awesome. Thanks. And Derrick, can you tell us where you're at, what you're doing, and how you got there?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'll start with howdy, because I'm currently at Texas A&M University in College Station. My background started all the way in California at the University of Redlands, where I was an RA, I was in student government, I was an orientation leader. I kind of did everything I possibly could, and I just fell in love. I had some really great mentors and ended up being able to do a mentorship in our student affairs office under our dean of students. And that's really what kicked off, like, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do for a career. And so falling in love with it in California, I said, what don't I know? Packed up my bags and I moved all the way across the country to Texas, where now I'm at one of the largest public institutions in the country. And I serve as the hall director for Hart Hall, and I'm just having a blast. We're in RA training this week, and so everything's chaotic and it's fun, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere else right now.
Very, very cool. I don't know if I could ever do the whole housing RA thing, so more power to you for that. Now, before we jump into the main focus of this episode, I always like to give thanks to how connections happen. And so, Charlie, I want to throw it to you about how you got connected with us in Adventures in Advising and how this came about.
Yeah, absolutely. And first off, I want to shout out Anthony to bring these worlds together, because that was kind of one of those ways where you could just see things overlap and it's like, oh, wow. Like, okay, so like we're in the know with people. But Anthony serves on the NASPA Undergraduate Student Conference with us, was one of the first people I actually got to meet through NASPA as a part of my way into the professional organization. And so we were talking about kind of just some ways to strategize. How do we keep talking about the conference? How do we continue to let people know about our mission and vision? And it was through these relationships where I was like, hey, so let me go ahead and email a couple people. Anthony was creating the list so that way we can keep reaching out. And then I was like, hey, so my colleague actually recommended me to reach out to him, and then me forgetting to attach my colleague in that email. But was able to follow back up and be like, oh no, it's Anthony. Here's Anthony's email. Like, this is not a random person. We have a little bit of connection there. And then being able to have a little chat on Zoom, which was really nice to kind of just get to know each other and see how small the student affairs world actually is.
Yeah. And can you both expand a little bit more about kind of how you both got involved in NASPA?
I can go first. I started getting involved in NASPA because my senior year as an undergrad, I joined the NASPA Undergraduate Fellowship Program, also known as NUF. NUF is a way where you are given the opportunity to, as we were kind of talking, just explore student affairs. Like, what could I get my hands on in terms of the field, networking, mentors, connections. And it was that preparation phase of like, okay, I know I want to do graduate school. I know this is a part of my trajectory. How can I continue to be prepared in that? And so earlier in 2025, I was about to say this year, but I was like, oh, we're in a new year. I got to attend the NASPA annual conference as an attendee to the undergraduate student conference, where I got to meet Dr. Asia Jones that oversees the NUF program, and got to meet a lot of people affiliated with the NUF program, which allowed me to network with people and then continue to do the opportunities like a NUF internship and work at a different college campus for a summer, and then attend a leadership institute. So it's one of those things where I applied for NUF and then was like, whatever's happening, sign me up. Let's run with it. And it's really great because these people continue to check up on you and really solidify what mentorship actually means.
And I think I had a very different route to Charlie. So as an undergrad, I was in our student affairs office all the time, and I had a lot of really good mentors, and I became close with Jillian Strong, who served as the person running the undergraduate student conference last year. And so she reached out and was like, hey, Derrick, I'm working on the undergraduate student conference with NASPA. Love for you to join. I was like, what's a NASPA? I had never heard of NASPA before, not really sure what they were. And so I was like, sure, I would love to do new things, love some professional development. And then found out, what is NASPA? And as I kind of went on, that was last year, so I got to serve on the undergraduate student conference committee. And then this year, it was one of those of like, hey, we're getting the band back together. Like, somebody who was on the conference team last year is running it this year. Brooke, we love them. They're amazing. And so just coming full circle, keeping it going, just trying to be better every year. And it's really just an amazing experience to talk to people who were where I was, not sure what they would necessarily want to do, are considering a field in student affairs.
Yeah, and sort of to that end, I want to talk a little bit about NASPA's interest in engaging the undergraduate student. You've both shared a little bit of your perspectives as sort of participants in that, but from an organizational point of view, what is NASPA's intent with these sorts of structures, the conference and the fellows programs and that sort of stuff? What's the hope and the goal there?
Yeah, from my perspective, it's genuinely to cultivate the next generation of equity-minded, conscious, and courageous student affairs professionals, right? Or educators or leaders, right? You think about the ways where our goal, especially with the conference, is to provide that one-day high-impact experience where they get to participate in tracks of their level of interest in the field. And I think with NASPA's intent, it's being able to provide that holistic introduction, but also being able to say, hey, there's also people in similar boats to you, right? Like, we talk about how important mentorship is, but it's also good to see like people in that similar headspace in terms of, how am I going to turn this into a career? Or wasn't my major, so I don't know what this actually looks like, because maybe I pursued engineering, or maybe I was in communications. So like, this wasn't intentionally my track at first, but for some people it's like, oh yeah, this was intentionally my plan as well. So we try to provide flexibilities those ways, and for NASPA, it's always been thinking about like, how can we continue to reshape, remix, and reimagine our student affairs leaders? And it starts with those people that were tasked by a mentor that feel out that interest, and then have a safe community to just be in that exploration phase.
So I guess, what can you tell us about the upcoming NASPA Undergraduate Student Conference?
I can tell you it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're planning on March 8th. We're going to be in Kansas City, Missouri. So it's going to be a pre-conference. So the day before the major NASPA conference starts, we're going to kick it off. And we're looking to bring in a number of undergraduate students for networking opportunities, professional development opportunities, a little bit of learning what the field is like. Last year, we had a really great opportunity where we got vice president to come in and address the vice president of student affairs to come in and address all of the undergraduate students. And we also had an opportunity for students to talk to executive leaders in student affairs. We're looking for a very similar opportunity this year where students are going to talk to people in student affairs that aren't just their mentor. Because like Charlie said, many of these people get into student affairs because they had a really good mentor that tapped them on the shoulder. And so how do we get that learning from, I had a good mentor, they did a great job, to this is a great field that I want to be a part of and I want to contribute to. And that's really, I think, what we're going to be seeing is we're going to be cultivating these opportunities to go beyond just that one mentor, beyond your one institution, and really begin to understand student affairs as a whole.
Awesome. So you mentioned it, kind of a pre-con situation. What's the opportunity, or are there any opportunities for people to participate if they're not going to be attending the larger conference and that kind of stuff? How does that work? What's the range of ways that people can engage with this?
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about the registration process too, like you can opt in for either. You can either register as a rate under the standalone pre-conference, or you can register with the full conference registration. And so the ways that it allows you to have people to connect with if you want to go through the whole experience. So I think a big part of it is that like we will introduce people to education sessions similar to the NASPA annual conference itself. And it's a ways for them to be like, okay, this is how I am learning in the conference space. This is how I can adapt some of those skills. This is how I can facilitate conversations about my experience. So they're able to carry that with them through the annual conference. But if it's like, I just want to be there for today, just to focus on maybe they're in that just like curious phase, or just wanting to get that leadership practice within that pre-con, that is also totally an option. Our registration rates, we've actually extended our early bird rate until February 4th. So people can either register as a member of NASPA under $110, and that is for the full conference registration. Or if they want to do just a standalone pre-conference, it is a registration of $200. Non-members would just pay a little bit more, but you can actually become a member when you reach out to us. So we'll help you facilitate that process too, of like, what does it mean to be a member as an undergraduate student, or even potentially becoming a NUF, which is the NASPA Undergraduate Fellowship Program.
And so it's titled as the Undergraduate Student Conference. Is it just students you're looking for? Who do you want to attend this?
So we're looking for predominantly undergraduate students. Really, the idea is the experience is, hey, I'm thinking about a career in student affairs. I'm at that level in my career. Let's see what comes next. But it is not exclusive to undergraduate students. And I think that anybody who's considering a career in student affairs will find a lot of value in attending this conference.
Awesome. And hopefully, too, that anyone's listening, like an advisor or someone, might have a student in mind that maybe they can share this with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about all the students on our campus. You know, I did a little bit of digging in preparation for our talk today, and I know, Charlie, you have a background in public relations and theater arts, a creative background, and Derrick, you have a background in psychology. But you know, from the student affairs perspective, looking back at your undergraduate areas of study and your intent and stuff like that, what alignment do you see with your own values that brought you into your undergraduate areas of study, but now as you're moving into that career phase, and where do you see the things matching that you wanted to do and contribute to who you are as a person, but also how you contribute to the world larger?
I can answer this one easy. It's the people. It's always about the people. I love working with people. I love building up people. Working in Res Life, I also love helping people when things go wrong. A lot of crisis management, a lot of, hey, my life isn't going exactly how I thought it would. How do I pivot? And I think psychology, that's really why I got into it. How do we understand people? How do we help people? And that just extends through student affairs. And I think we help people in a lot of different lights. I actually got to work an internship as an academic advisor for a community college over last semester. And I really saw the academic advising perspective of we're talking people, we're telling them, hey, how do I help you figure out the pathway to your career? And I think that is what student affairs does, is just how do we help people?
I definitely relate to a lot what Derrick said, especially like, hey, crisis management, same for PR, same in student affairs. There's a lot of it, and we learn how to do it well fairly quickly. But also, like, I think for me, especially with the theater arts background, like, I always wanted to find ways to let my art, my values, to help people be curious, right? And so I think foundationally, in my work, especially in student orgs, is kind of shown up in the space of like, you're giving me this idea of like maybe a new organization or something that was going to shape your involvement during your undergraduate experience. And so how can we elevate that to the next level? Like, where is that connecting and their values as well? And so I've done my Clifton strengths. One of my top Clifton strengths is restorative. And so it's being able to kind of find ways where the experiences that people are getting is restorative to who they are in an authentic way and how they show up in the world. And then being able to carry that into spaces and be more comfortable with their presence and be able to have the confidence into what areas or career paths they may be aligned with. And so, I mean, I run into students where I'm like, oh, you would be a great student affairs professional, but I let them come to me with that conversation sometimes. So just finding where curiosity, people say curiosity gets the cat, but satisfaction always brings it back. So there's always a great way to like see where that satisfaction leads.
I am curious though. Both of you have multiple roles and responsibilities. You're putting on this conference coming up, so an extra responsibility there. What do you both do for your wellness?
So I've got probably a fairly interesting one. I'm a circus performer. Juggling, partner acrobatics. I just got the opportunity to try a flying trapeze class over the break. And so that is really my wellness. It's teamwork, it's physical, it's a great time.
That is so cool. We learn new facts every day. That is so amazing. I think similar for me, it's being in the performance space where like I have been going to the gym more recently. So like I always think like the fitness and being able to reserve a dance studio. And so I also perform in drag outside of student affairs. And so thinking about ways where like I can continue things that help me feed back my body is through performance, it's through working out, and it's through being able to be physically healthy in these spaces.
Anything in particular that you are just really looking forward to at the Undergraduate Student Conference?
I'm really looking forward to the ability to just connect with people that were in my shoes. It's honestly like less than a year ago, but also like we're giving so many opportunities to choose your tracks and to customize your experience as well. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out with the undergraduate student conference. And again, it allows you to kind of like, you're putting in what you want to receive out of it, right? So we want to have people to be comfortable in that space. And so that's what excites me is the most, is their ability to take it by the reins, customize this conference to their needs, and then us being able to provide that resource in some way.
I think for me, it's going to be one of those things that refuels just a little bit, is getting to know all these students that are coming into the field. I know last year there was a student who talked about wanting to be a president and wanting to do all these wonderful things and flip higher education on its head. And it's just, I love seeing the passion of the undergraduate students and how they want to go and as they really begin their careers. And I think I mean, as a graduate student in a master's program, I'm still very much at the beginning of my career. But even as we just see more and more people, it's so passionate. And I love when people can come together over a shared cause and just talk about it and come up with new ideas and reignite their passions.
And to wrap it up, if someone has more questions, they want more information, where can they go?
Yeah, so people can find us on our social media pages. Our main one is Instagram, so you can follow us at NASPA USC. You'll hear us say USC a lot as we start getting closer to the conference, but we're also on Facebook and LinkedIn, just as NASPA's Undergraduate Student Conference. And then if you have any questions that you want to directly send to us, we also have an email that's naspaundergradconference@gmail.com.
All right, sounds good. Well, Charlie, Derrick, thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing more about the NASPA Undergraduate Student Conference.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.